Started from zero and he worked himself up. Yeah. Now he's in from the Gerasta. You don't on the base, the Mishnah. The Shliach, they were telling me crazy stories. I'll say it after. Okay. Mesachta Avoda Zara Daf Tesvav Amud Aleph. We're starting from Yudalad Amud Beis, the Mishnah. B'makim shenohagu limke behema daka, in a place where they have a minhag to sell a behema daka. What's a behema daka? A shepsel, a goat, a tzigala. La'oivdei kichavim, for the to a guy, in the places where a yid is allowed to sell the behema daka, to a guy, meichet, you sell it. B'makim shenohagu shalei limker, and in the places where they have a minhag not to sell a behema daka, ein meichem, we don't sell it to them.
What, because the point of Avoda Zara, that's what they think?
Here is no, because the Eivet Gechom with the commit adultery, no, them gelepten say. I don't know in English. I think it's called bestiality, something like that. Bestiality, yeah, something like that. So he says that's why.
I have to think what he's going to do with it.
So to a guy, Taman Shvakefen, as they state. I don't know. A behema gasa for sure. Behema daka is a shaila. Okay. Oh, so we spoke about it before. We're talking about a regular one. And in every place where they don't sell a behema gasa is shana, ox, sus, horse or donkey. Since these behemoths are made for work, so the one that's buying it will do malach on Shabbos. So you're not allowed to sell him a behemah gasa. It's a different issue because he's going to do work with it on Shabbos.
So when is the last Friday the allowed to sell it?
You're never allowed to sell it to him because we're afraid. Sell it is not the problem. Once you sell them, you'll come to rent it to them, right, and lease it to them. Now, it's your behema, and he's doing malacha on Shabbos with your behema. It's dubas the balabas. He's paying for rent and lease. So Shvisa's behema.
What if you lease a car when the guy drives on Shabbos?
It's a big shaila. I don't know if it has the same name, but it's a good shaila. Yeah. Agolim, calves, usyachim, and small horses. Small, even though it's not royal malacha. It's a gzeira, maybe they'll make a mistake and think you're allowed to sell behemoths gedelis. So even though they're small now and they're not ready to do work, nevertheless it's also. Siyachim are chamedim ketanim, young donkeys. Okay, zog the Yemada.
Well, see, so that for the guy, if you sell him the behemoth, it becomes his. Why can't he do malach?
Oh, very good. The Yemada is going to ask that. Okay, zog the Yemada shleimim. All these you're not allowed to sell sai if it's shleimim, if it's everything's all right with it. And even if the behemoths are not royal malacha because there's something, foot is broken or whatever, because exeda they might make a mistake and sell a behemoth shleima. Rabbi Yehuda mater the behemoth shvura. Rabbi Yehuda is mater by behemoth shvura. He doesn't. The Gemara will explain the reason. And Ben Meseda is mater even by a horse. And the time of Meseda is because Malach Sasus B'derech Klal is not pulling a plow, right? Or it's not carrying matzois. A sus is made just to ride on. So an Achiva is not considered a Malach B'Shabbos because a Chai is Neisas Atzmai. That's what we say. Even by a baby who cannot walk, we use this term, a Chai Neisas Atzmai. It's not like you're carrying. So the Chiva on Shabbos is not really a Isa. By Asus, the Bamseda says it's mutter because you don't have to worry about malacha. It won't do malacha. Asus doesn't pull the charisha. All it's made for is rechiva, and a person achai noises atzmei. So when he's lying on it, it's not really carrying him because the person can carry himself. That's why you're allowed to pick up a baby on Shabbos because achai noises.
They don't want to carry the baby on Shabbos.
If the baby's crying, everybody picks up. And I know my father would pick us up when we were crying. We didn't want to move.
I see people. I said, why didn't you? I say about the Ada, but I said, what's the problem? Pick up the.
It's not a problem.
Based on what we just said.
Yeah. We abide by that. We stick to that. Yeah.
Yeah, so why you see that people?
I don't. You could tell them.
So I saw
you-
somebody like that. It was,
So what, the showers could pick up the
You
baby?
can,
When
if the
you gotta
baby
go,
doesn't
you
want to
can bring-
move and
You take
whatever,
good care of him?
you're allowed to because a chai noise satsme, it carries itself, so it's not really an isur, and that's
As whatever he could carry himself.
yeah, that's
But
how
not only a baby, only a guy that walks.
it walks. Yeah, something you mother lemema other say a baby on the tatum. Okay, something you mother lemema the isur leika. Are you coming to tell you there's no isur mamish on selling a behemoth to a guy elamin hagay hudika? It's only a minik not to sell it. Hey, chadin isur no. It's weird. There's a minik that that there's a isur, so it's us. Hey, chadin no. And wherever the minik is mutter, it's mutter. So you're saying it's not a isur, it's just a bitsad a minik as all zainosa. I'll ask you a question. Well, you learned in the Mishnah later on Chabez Amid Aleph, you're not allowed to place behemoths in the inn, like the inn hotels, the inn by the goyim. Because if you're going to leave your behemoth in the inn by the goyim, we have to worry that they're going to live with the behemoth. So therefore, you're going to be marshal with the Isa of Revi, it's called. So this, so the Isa of selling any behemoth to a goy is because it's a mixture in the Isa from Revi. A Isa from Revi is not a minik.
Well, business is business.
Okay. Zag the Gemara, Omar Rav, Makom she'itiru limker, hitiru liyachid. There are those places where they were choshud, the goyim were choshud al Raviyah, and then there were those places that they were not choshud. So this that our Mishnah said that there are places that they had a minik to be mateh, mechir behema daka to a goy. It's talking about in a place where they were not choshud, that these goyim were not choshud to do Raviyah. And in those places, of course, where they asked it is a place where they were choshud. Makom she'asli yachid aslimke. Now, in a place where they asked it for them to be alone, meaning to leave behemoth together in the inn of goyim, is only when the goyim were choshud al Raviyah. So that place, you're talking not to sell a behemoth daka. Even in a place where they forbade and they were choshud that they're going to commit the Isa of Raviyah, mutter limker, you're allowed to still sell them a behemoth daka if there was no Isa. I mean, if there was no minig of Isa in there. My time, what's the reason? On his own behemoth, if you sell it to them, they'll never live with the animal because the behemoth could become an akara. It could cause that it shouldn't be able to have any more babies. So therefore, if they buy it, they'll never live with it because it's a loss. If it's not theirs, it's your animal that you're living in an inn. He's going to have party time with that behemoth. But if he buys it, he won't touch it. He's afraid it will become a akara. If Yadam's cheshbon is a good, if Yadam's tachlis can schmeißen. So the Gemara adds, Rav Hodabeh, and also Rav was retracted from his teretz, and he accepted what Rabbi Lezer said, that even in a place where it's us for and where choyshed the goy will live with the animal, but you're allowed to sell him the animal. That's Kolzman. He didn't buy the animal, so he'll live with the animal. But once it becomes his, he's never going to live with the animal. He doesn't want the animal to become an akara. They all said that a guy, once he buys it and it's his, he won't live with the animal because he doesn't want the animal to become akara.
If your animal is good,
If Yadam's cheshbon is so good, yeah, he's excellent. It says in Gemara, ain't moichim lehem behemagasa. In all places, they don't sell to them a behemagasa. In fact, Gemara, my time, what's the reason? Nehidel Raviyah lechashinan. He says, even though for Raviyah we're not concerned, but he says, me'avad bei melacha chashinan, we should be concerned. Maybe the guy will do work with his behemah on Shabbos. So how could you sell him a behemagasa? So, in fact, the Gemara v'nevet. So what? Let the guy do malacha with it. Even the zavna kanya. Oh, yes, you just said that before. Rabbi Greisman, that's a gleich effect of not. So once he bought it, it's his. So what's the big? What's the issue? The Gemara because zara mishum she'ela mishum schidus. The Mechida itself is not a problem if the guy does work with the animal. It's his animal. But later on, I'm allowed to sell him, I'm allowed to lease him, I'm allowed to rent him. But once you're starting to lend him and lease it to him, so then it's your animal, and he's doing work on Shabbos, and the Torah says your animal, the owner of the animal, his animal has to have shvisa. So that's what we're afraid of. What are you talking about? Shaila kanya, v'aga kanya. Even by renting, it becomes the one who rented it, or somebody, it becomes his, or the one who borrowed it. So what's the problem if he does malacha? Rami Rami, the son of Yeva, said the reason why they asked it to sell a behema gasa is because gzeira mishum nisyoine. Because of gzeira, they're going to test the animal. I want to see if this car goes. I'm not buying this truck if it cannot carry the load. I have to try it out. So he wants to put loads on the animal and try it out. And when is he going to do it? It could be he's going to sell, the Yid will sell this guy, right before Shabbos, head of Shabbos, he's going to sell him the animal. But it's not over. The guy said, I want to test it out. He didn't buy it yet. The guy didn't buy it. He says, come. Let's test it to see if it can carry this load. So the behema, he's going to have to tell the behema move, and the behema is going to move because of the yid, because it recognizes only its owner's voice. It's going to move, and it's going to go because of the yid. And the yid wants it to move to show that it can carry the load. He's selling him a good merchandise. And it's Shabbos already. And now he's leading his behema on Shabbos when it's loaded through calling the animal to move. So he's over on that, and that's why we're afraid of.
Is it the Raisa?
Sure, if he does it b'sheigig, that's only b'sheigig. If he does it with mezes, it's chayiv skila. Yeah. Chayiv chatas. He's going to be chayiv chatas. What's the pasuk? It says lo yisasa kol malacha ato, and then it says also overhemtecha. That's right. So the Yemad Maskell. So that was the Isa to sell it, because we're afraid you're going to sell it erev Shabbos, and the guy is going to want he should test it out, and it's going to end up doing a malach on Shabbos. That's why you're not allowed to sell a guy. Maskell Rav Sheisha B'nei Davidi Rav Sheisha the son of Davidi Esakasha Uschidus Mikanya. If a chayfetz was leased out or rented out, so at the time of the schidus, is it still considered? Is it like the renters or it's the owners? But now we learned in the Mishnah, you're saying that what? That schidus is a kinyan. That was your kasher. What's the difference if what are you afraid? He's going to rent it? So what? He'll rent it. But it's the guys. The guy can do malacha. So I was wondering, where do you see that schidus a kinyan? But now we learned in the Mishnah, even in the place where the Chacham said that you're allowed to rent out a house to a guy, they weren't matter to rent it out only al das to store stuff there, but not to live there. Why? Because the goyim, if you rent it out to the goyim will bring getchkes, they'll bring Avoda zara there, and he's over because it's his house. And it's still the Yid's house, and the Torah it says, you shouldn't bring a disgusting thing into your house. And here the guy, if he's allowed to live there, he'll bring a getchke. But if you say the guy who rents it, it's his, what's the problem? This guy, when he's going into his own house. Why are you worried about the Yid as being it has nothing to do with it. It's not his. He rented it. It's the guy's. And if you want to shine Avitz Yecham the Chamir, Avitz Yecham is different. The Torah was much more chamor. The Sibel Isavi Seiva El Beisacha. Mikadin, you're right. The house belongs to the renter, But the Torah was machmir when it comes to Isuri Avoda Zara. They said, oh no, we're going to consider it as the mask's house. So that's why it has a din. That's why they asked it to rent a house to the guy. Well, really, schidus is a kinyan. Maskal Rav Yitzchak. Okay, Maskal Rav Yitzchak, Berei Rav Mishasher. Rav Yitzchak, the son of Mishasher, is the kasha. Schidus mikanya. Is schidus when somebody rents is taka kinyan? You still right now. Before we slugged it up, we said only by Avoda Zara we're alone machmir. But schidus is really koina. Says Gemara, I'll show you it's not. But now we learned in the Mishnah in Trumis. Yisol shesacha parmi koyim. A Yisol that rented a cow from a koyin. So the Yisrael is allowed to feed the behema truma because this para
Belongs to the Kohen.
is the real owner is the koyin. The Yisrael is renting it.
So he gets a cheaper price?
He gets a cheaper price. Yeah. The koyin shesacha parmi Yisrael and the koyin that rented a para from a Yisrael. Even though who has to feed the animal? The koyin, the renter. Lo yachilanu kashnei truma. He cannot feed the animal truma.
His soccer says.
It's right. Oh, these Salkadai, very good. You read already next words. No, I'm joking. Okay, these Salkadai the schidus kanya. If it's going to enter your mind that the schidus is a kinyan, why shouldn't the kohen feed it? He's renting. It's his. The part of the day, the part of Zaina, Lashmami knows, no zara from here, that the schidus like kanya, the schidus is not going to be a kinyan. Zog the Gemara Bahashna the Amit schidus like kanya. Now that you concluded schidus is not a kinyan, so says the Gemara, and the behema that remains in is the behema belongs to the owners. So we could say that the Isa selling a behema gas to a guy is because of the previous timing. Either he might rent it to them, he might have tested before Shabbos. All the time, all the gzeres exist, and because it's not a kinyan, so it's all the yid. So if the guy is going to live with the animal, it's going to be the yid's shul because he was able to live neive. And the last one is still applicable, that he might sell it at a Shabbos, and the guy will say, test it, then he'll be over Mechama. Yeah. Aida the Saf Sira. Avoda was mated to sell a chamer to a goy through a middleman. I don't know what they call an agent. Yeah, it's an agent. A broker. So you want to eat mishum nisyaina. Now, if you're afraid, the guys are going to say, test it. It's not going to get tested. He's just a broker. He can't get the animal to move. I can't shine from the behind his mug. You need a boss over here. So he says that's not going to happen. A middleman will not make the say that we don't have to worry because he's never going to be able to test it. If you're going to say, oh, you're worried about it, that he's going to lend it or rent it, he's not going to. He's a middleman. He's a broker holding on to this animal, and his whole commission is only on a sale. So he's not renting or he's not renting or lending it. It's not his. It doesn't belong to the middleman. He's not going to lend it out, and he's not going to rent it out. And he doesn't want in any way that it should be given out or tested, because the broker is afraid maybe there's something wrong with this animal. I'll lose my commission. I know test as is. This is what you're getting. What you see is what you get. Okay. That's right. That's it. That's what says the Gemara. Avoda is a menahi para. Avoda sold a specific para. He said, "What you do? What do you sell it to behema gasna to a guy?" Amalei Avoda said, "Emel shchita zavna." I could easily be tailored that the guy. Wanted it. They bought the para only to eat it, to shachnin it, and this that we asked it to sell to a guy is dafke behemis tmeyes like susim, chamerim. So the derechal they don't eat it. Even a guy doesn't eat it. So there you have to worry for all these isurim. Where do we know that you can be toiler that the guy bought it to eat it, even though it could be he bought it for work and he might use it for Shabbos, and he might then borrow and lend. Says we learned in the Mishnah, Lo yimka adam, a person should not sell to a yid hachosh al shviyas, who is choshed that he will work in the shviyas year, para chayrashas b'shviyas. In the year of shviyas, you're not allowed to sell him a para the basakit, because we're afraid he's choshed al shviyas, and if you sell him the para, you're going to be able to fnei because you're causing the year to do charisha during the shviyas year. It could be that the kohen is buying it to shecht it. So since you have a way,
Why can't you ask him what he's going to do with it?
he'll lie. But
If he has to do it, then you have that to worry about.
yeah, but we don't know if he's saying the truth. We're not trusting him. He's a chosher. But we say that since there's a way out, it could be he's going to shecht it and eat it. So lav dafka, he's going to be. You're going to be over lifnei iver because he's going to use it for work. Rabbi said, how could you compare the case of our Mishnah, this Mishnah over here, Beisham Beis Hillel, by the Parah of Shviyas, to our case? Hasam there by Mechnis Parah Binageh, somebody who selling a Parah to somebody who's a Chosher al Shviyas, ain't other mitzvah al Shviyas behem to B'Shviyas. He says a person is himself doesn't have the Isa Shviyas behem to. Me, when I'm selling another Yid who's Chosher al Shviyas, I'm not over on that my animal has to be shvisas behemtoi in the year of shvis. There's no such a isur. There's no such a isur that your animal has to be b'shvisas. It's not Shabbos. It's shvias. You're not allowed to work in the year of shvias. So he says, therefore, the mechinas behemah by shvias, there's only isur is because of lefnei iva leisita mirshel. Ha'cha adam mitzvah al shvisas behemtoi b'Shabbos. But here, in addition, there's by selling the behema, the yid, the balabas himself is being over on the iser of that the animal might itself not shvisa Shabbos, right? So how do you know you can be toilet and akula in such a case? Okay, so he says it's not only because of lifnei iver. It's also because of the Gzeda, maybe the Yid itself will be over the Isa of Shvisas Behemtei, that his animal is working. So that's a problem. So it's a double Isa. So maybe there, we're not going to be Taylor Lekula. Abai said back to Rabbi, also, it's every place where a person is Mitzvah, Lamashal over here, Shvisas Behemtei, you're going to say, he's not allowed to be soinach on if he has a way to be tailor lekula. But we know in the case where of a field, a person is mechuyev to have his field not worked on in the year of shviyas. He's mitzvah for the Torah. You're not allowed to, his field is not allowed to be worked on. And we learned in the Braisa, nevertheless, a person shouldn't sell his field which is already plowed b'shviyas, who up to a yid who's chashal of shviyas, because once it's charusha, once it's already plowed, now you can start planting very fast, very easily, and we have to be afraid if he's selling it to a person who's chashal of shviyas. Don't sell him. You're not allowed to sell him a plowed field. He's for sure going to plant it. It could be no. Beis Hillel says it's mutter to sell to such a yid who's chashal, because it could be he's not going to plant it all. He's going to wait a year. He doesn't want it for this year. He wants it for next year, and sometimes waiting it out gives the land more power. So you don't know. So you can be telling kula. Zok the Gemara. So Beis Hillel says even in a case where it is mitzvah, so it's like our case. Why a behema is mitzvah of shvisas behemtoi. This is mamish the same case. A field near which is plowed has a din that's not allowed to be worked on in the year of shvis. So it's this, so he shouldn't be able to sell it to somebody who's choshed. It's mamish the same case, and nevertheless, Beis Hillel says you're toilet lekula. Maskla Avashi. So you see, you could be toilet lekula even a place where there's a chash, where the Yisrael himself is over on the Isa. Maskla Avashi said, and the other way. You say, if a person is not mitzvah himself, then it's mutter for him to be toilet lekula. L'mashal. That we gave the case by Parah in the year of Shviyas. The person who's selling the Parah, he doesn't have a tzivui that his para has to be shvisas para in the year of shvias. There's no tzivui. And you're going to say that's muti to be telul lekula. It's not true. We know the kelim of Charisha in the year of Shemitah. It says, there's no mitzvah that you're not allowed to use your hoe in the year. Your hoe is not allowed to be used at all in the year of Shvias. Of course, you're not allowed to work the fields, but there's no mitzvah that it has to be Shvisas atuls in the year of Shvias. No such a thing.
It's the Gavra, no?
I can gather, right? Very good. If in Chetz is Nishtar Kenisa. Now, we learned in the Mishnah, these are the Kalim, Shein Adam Rashoy L'Moichem Shvias, that a person is not allowed to sell in the year of Shvias. HaMacharesha, the plow, the Chol Kelah with all its Kalim, HaOil, the yoke that they put on the Tzvei oxen, that they should go together, so they put it's something that holds them in the same place, together. V'hamiza, v'hadeka, hamiza, he says, Kalim that they throw up Tvua. And v'hadeka is, let me see a second, 16. He says over here, kaf, it's like it's like a spoon, but it's it's like a shovel that they use. It's a shovel. So all these things are used for charisha, which is usher to use in the year. He said you're not allowed to sell it to somebody in the year of Shemitah. And here we know there's no shvisa on the tools, and nevertheless we said it's usher. And you said if there's no shvisa on the tools, mitzad the balabas, then you can be telul lekula. Here you see you can't. It says Elamar Rashi. Rashi says like this. I'll give you the pashut pshat. Kol heicha deikav lemitla. Every place where it's roy to be telul lekula, talina. Then we are telul lekula. V'afagav the mitzvah. Even if the meicha is mitzvah on that his behemoth has to be shvisas behemoth. But if there's a reason that you can be telul lekula that he wants it for shchita to eat it, you're telul lekula. The kol heicha the leika lemisli, and in any place where you cannot be telul on the kula, loy talina, we're not going to be telul lekula. Afagav the mitzvah, like by the kalim. There's no mitzvah that the kalim have to be. There has to be shvisas kalim in the year of shvis. No such a thing. And you can't say he's holding it for next year. He says because people don't buy kalim now for 2 years later. That's a bad investment.
They got a good price.
Okay. No, we're talking he's paying regular price. Why would he buy now for 2 years later? It doesn't make sense. Rabba Zopnahu Chamora, Rabba once sold his Chamer Yisrael. To Yisrael, who was choshet to sell it to a guy. My time out with Marahachi. He said to Rabba, why do you do such a thing? Rabba, no, you sold Zabine. I sold it to a Yid.
I don't know what you're going to do.
A Yid? I'm not allowed to sell it to a Yid? So he says, Rabbi said to Rabba, he's going to go ahead and sell it. He's choshet. He's going to sell it to a guy. He's such a person that's shy to sell to a guy. So which is a Isa. So he's going to be marshal and being a Isa for the Yid, who he sold it. Rabbi sold it to a Yid who's choshet to sell to a guy. So Rabbi says, what do I mean? I could be telling lekula. What the whole world is only going. It could be he'll sell it to another Yid. So since he could be telling lekula, Rabbi said that's why I was allowed to sell it to another Yid. Because this Yid might sell it to another Yid. It's not 100% he's selling it to a guy.
But there are a billion game available, no, we on 10 million.
Yeah, but the Yid feel more comfortable selling to their people. Okay. In fact, you want to Eisvei, Sabai Eston to Rabbi from the following price. It says, "B'makom shenagu limker behema daka lepusim." In a place where they have a minute to sell behema daka to pusim, meichen, you sell it. Shalei limker, ein meichen. Not to sell it, then you don't sell it. Now, pusim are not anders nicht kein Emsegeden. It was by the first the Churban after the Beis Hamikdash, so the Kusons Charibi they moved to Eretz Yisrael, and they had problems with the lions attacking them. So they had Jews come and teach them the Torah, and it stopped attacking them. So they became Gedim. It's called Geda Adoyes, the Kusim. It's a shaila if they real yidden or not.
The real
Real gay. I'm sorry. In fact, you want my time. What's the reason? If you're gonna say because the kusma chosh aravia, in fact, you want to make chashide. Kusma are not choshed on avia. I'm living with the animals. Vatanya, we learned in the brayse. Ema mit behema befund the koi shalev the gichab. Scharim is scharim. The cave says the cave is a behema. You can't put it in the inn of a goy.
In the stall.
In the shtar, we are afraid even the scharim, eitzel scharim, because they'll live. The man will live with these mishkav zacha with the behemoths and the caves with the caves. Eitzel leim in the caves, eitzel zacharim or zacharim eitzel in the caves. They're shy to live together with these animals. You cannot give it to a shepherd of theirs who are goyim because the chash that the roy himself will live with the animals. The aim is yachad in imahem, and you now is a different thing. You're not allowed to be alone with a goy. Pashat, there's a chash of shvichas lam, he might kill you. You're not allowed to be alone with a guy. You're not allowed to give them over your child to teach them in the schools. Why? Or to teach them trades because they're chashud. First of all, they'll be measure the kids to happy courses, and number two, they're shy to do mishkav zacha with the kids. It's terrible. Avo bikusim. Loy mamid behema befund the koi shel kusim. Mamid by kusim we do allow to put the behemoths in their inns. Scharim eitz in the caves, and the caves says scharim. Vein tzarich leima scharim eitz scharim, and the caves says in the caves because that's unusual. And the caves should live with a cave azach with azacha. A man to live with azach behema and a woman in the cave. But even if it's the reverse, in the cave to azach to the cave, we're not chishit by the kusim. Meisim behema l'reishalam, and we could give over the behemoths even to the shepherds. Imahem, you're allowed to be alone with the kusim. They're not going to kill you. And you're allowed to give your child to learn by them. So we're not afraid they're going to teach them up courses. So you see, kusim are not chashud, right? And we said, so you see, so from this price it's proven that the kusim are not chashudim. So what's the reason that a makim shaloi limke behema dakal kusim? Because we were concerned, what would the kusi do? That the kusi might sell it to a goy. So that will cause the kusi to be over on the Avoda. The yid, yeah. We also learned from Abraham, you don't sell to the goy in loy zayin nor swords. Like clay zayin, not the handles for the spears. You don't sharpen the gever. Sadan is something that
Shields?
It's shields, yes. The loy karolin, and not it's for the necks of that they take people in captive. Like valam loy shal shalish bazel. And these chains that they held people in captivity. Kusi, whether it's a chain, chains. Side for a guy and side for a kusi. My time, what's the reason? What's the reason that it's forbidden to sell even to kusim? If you're going to say the chashid of killing, are they chashid? We learned just now, you're allowed to be alone with a kusi, he's not going to kill you. They're not choshed on shvichas damin. Only because the buyer, the kusi, will come to sell it to Leiv Gechavim. Now, if you're going to want to push off this raya and say, okay, a kusi, you cannot sell it to because kusi lo yav tshuva. You don't find that a kusi should do tshuva. So even if he'll do this, he won't do tshuva. But Yisrael choshed. A Yisrael who's choshed that he'll sell it to a guy, of tshuva, he's shy to do tshuva. Therefore, you can be Taylor in a kula by a Yisrael versus a kusi, you can't. Because the kusi will never do tshuva. Mashayk in the Yisrael, you're allowed to sell it to Yisrael, even if he's a choshed that he might sell it to a guy. You can be Taylor the kula that he'll sell it to another yid, because if he does sell it to a guy, he'll do tshuva.
What kind of tshuva does he do?
for the sin that he did.
But he sold it to the guy.
Yeah, and then he'll do tshuva. It's shy. Then he'll do tshuva. He'll wake up. But we learned befeinish. Nachman said explicitly, the same way it's forbidden to sell to a goy, so too it's forbidden to sell to a yid who's chashid to sell to a goy. So when Rabbi heard that, he says, Nachman said this openly, that you're not allowed to sell a yid who's a chashid. You're not allowed to sell him a behema because he's chashid to sell to a goy. So how did Rabbi do that? So Rabbi was all tzurudit. Roid basei tlasem pasei. He chased after this buyer for 3 parsim. Others say he chased 1 parsa, but in zamd, in sand. It's very hard to run. And he didn't reach it. So that's the story. I think I'll stop over here. Yeah, we'll stop over here, and then tomorrow we'll continue.